Welcome back to day 3 of Convergence, everyone. Good morning. I'm Chris Whalley, the co-chair of Convergence Planning Committee. It's hard to believe we're already on Thursday. It's gone by so fast, but we have a full day of learning sessions, and we have a great closing party tonight you're not going to want to miss. I think there's going to be some surprises in store. So on Tuesday, we started the conference with a plenary around AI led by Mega. Yesterday, we had our plenary session by Joao on patient care. And today, we're going to be diving into the modern and evolving workplace, which has really changed for many of us in the post-COVID era. So our panel today represents both early and mid-careerists. And we're going to be sharing how they're navigating the industry and hopefully sharing insights with you so that you can recruit and retain this next generation of talent and hopefully lead to further success in your organization. So without further ado, let's meet our panel now. Nice. So we're going to kick off this panel in a little bit of a different fashion. We're going to play a game show, and anyone like me who's over 50 will probably remember that TV show, The Newlywed Game. The Newlywed Game. I don't know if anybody remembers that. So yeah, I like the chuckles. That's good. So we're going to ask you in the audience to participate as well. So if you have pen and paper, or if you have a device that you can take notes on, please do so. This is a group project right now. So we can all compare our responses to how these early careerists may respond as well. So here is the prompt for everyone. Just in using no more than 5 words, describe what you do as a regulatory professional. And we'll start today with our first panelist, Katie Blank. Katie's a regulatory affairs manager at Becton Dickinson, and she holds a master's degree in biomedical diagnostics from Arizona State University. She leads a team of regulatory affairs professionals with a focus on China and Japan. In 2023, she furthered her expertise by obtaining the RAC in devices and the RCC MDR credentials. Katie specializes in navigating the complexities of international submissions and regulations, and she ensures compliance and facilitating market access for innovative medical technologies. So welcome, Katie. If you could, yay, yeah, nice, thank you. If you could, please show us how you describe what you do in 5 words or less.
All right. Well, I wrote, it depends on the day.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it really does, right? That's regulatory. So overall, the goal is to get medical devices to market and help patients, right? But as a manager, I put on many different hats. So one moment, I could be answering inquiries from an MOH, Ministry of Health, question, or the next, I could be doing a performance review, right? Helping someone and removing those hurdles for my team, empowering them. So really, depends on the day.
Nice. I think we can all relate to that one, so thank you very much, Katie. Next, let's meet Harshit Bhoraniya. He's a regulatory professional from Northeastern University who earned his bachelor's degree in pharmacy in India. He's an active RAPS member and serves on its membership committee, bringing valuable insights for early career professionals and students. As a former RAPS student ambassador in Phoenix, Arizona, Harshit has a deep understanding of industry challenges and fosters collaboration within the regulatory community. So welcome, Harshit. Nice. And why don't you show us what you wrote and explain in 5 words or less what you think. Yeah.
It's I am here for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I mean by that is I am targeting 2 types of audience here. Like first is receivers and second one is givers. So, as I am a recent graduate entering into the market, and also it shows that I'm prepared for that potential employers who are looking for a professional like us, this next generation of regulatory professionals and young generation. And second type of audience is like students. I also help early career professionals, my juniors as well at the university level, by doing guest lectures and helping them out bridge the gap between the resources that RAPS has, how to engage with the community, and how to do a networking rightly so they can get ahead into the market as well. Because it's very much crucial to network rightly when you are in early career professionals. You might feel that it's not benefiting you at the early stage, but eventually it will grow, and once you start giving your full potential into that, but it will definitely give fruits in the next upcoming years.
Nice.
That's why it's I am here for you.
Excellent. Thank you, Harshit. And rounding out our panel today is Tyler Trinh. Welcome, Tyler. Yeah. So Tyler's a dedicated PharmD MHA candidate at the University of Houston College of Pharmacy, where he's pursuing advanced studies in pharmaceutical sciences and healthcare administration. In addition to his academic work, Tyler is gaining valuable hands-on experience as a pharmacy intern at Houston Methodist Hospital and CVS Pharmacy. As the chair of the Texas Pharmacy Association Academy of Student Pharmacists, Tyler spearheads advocacy initiatives and fosters growth for future pharmacy leaders. His involvement equips them with distinctive regulatory perspective, and Tyler aspires to leverage his own experience in regulatory affairs fellowship or an entry-level role within the industry. So Tyler, show us how you would explain in 5 words or less what you told your mom, why you told your mom you're not going to be a pharmacist, but instead pursue a career in regulatory.
Yeah, so I said, I'm sorry, Mom, but trust, I know what I'm doing, so she's supportive of my decisions, but I think I know what I'm doing, so.
Yeah, maybe expand on that a little bit. What
Yeah.
what about the regulatory field is pulling you away from this
I
pharmacy?
think the regulatory field, we learned about it a little bit in pharmacy school, maybe like a 2-hour lecture, and it really spoke to me. So with that, I wanted to do more research, and that's why I'm here at RAPS, to learn more about regulatory affairs. And from there, I learned about the fellowship opportunities that pharmacists have and the impact it can have on getting drugs to market. So that's something that resonated with me, and having a global impact.
Awesome. Thank you, Tyler. Nice. Well, I hope you heard some things that maybe sound familiar to yourselves, or maybe things that sound different. And I never thought I'd be saying this about words that were very close to theirs. I'm sorry, I messed that up, but I'll keep going. And as you're trying to hire and retain talent you see on the stage, maybe think about some of these things that they're saying and how you might interact with folks like this during an interview process. So let's dive into a little bit more. I want to start with you first, Katie, because your path to regulatory affairs was not very direct. I'd say, can you share a little bit about how you got where you are today and what attracted you to the regulatory profession?
Yeah, so, and first, not to offend anybody, right? But I don't think any of us really woke up and in kindergarten when we were asked what we wanted to do, we were like, I want to do regulatory affairs. I don't think that was really what any of us kind of went out to do. I originally wanted to go to medical school.
Oh.
I wanted to help patients in that one-on-one interaction, dive in, do all of that. And then I started going down that pathway. I was a scribe for a neurosurgeon. I did clinical research with a company that did clinical trials and was a clinical trial coordinator. And then I just wasn't finding something I was passionate about. And my now husband actually came to me and said, hey, there's an opening at my company. I think this might be something you're interested in. And so I said, hey, I'll give it a try. And jumped in, and I love solving puzzles, right? And I think that's what regulatory is we're putting all the pieces together, building a story, and I love it. It's been great.
Awesome. And Harshit, why don't you give us some background on what attracted you to pursue a graduate degree at Northeastern after completing pharmacy school in India?
It was kind of personal decision, when you love traveling and food, you want to pursue something that you can have a global approach, and you can work wherever you want to do and industry. But like keeping on aside that, the thing fascinates me is you always need to pursue something that had a global approach, and you can work in a multi-functional team as well. I was in my last year of pharmacy school, we were thinking about doing a master's and what should be next. It's always a confusion to choose what we want to do in our future. And it's quite okay to have that confusion as well, because we will never know what you really want to do. Eventually you start experimenting few things in a couple of years, and then you found out what makes you interested in something next. That out of curiosity, I came across this Northeastern program, MS in Regulatory Affairs. One thing that I liked most is you can go for the internship or co-op as a full-time when during that period of time that give you a practical education and experience as well, because it's very much needed when you go out and find the right opportunity for you. So that kind of helps me, attack that opportunity to pursue in the US.
Excellent. Nice. And Tyler, you mentioned you learned about regulatory affairs in a class that you took. Was there anything within that class that was particularly interesting, or some aspect of regulatory affairs where a light bulb went off for you?
In that class, it was a very high-level overview.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get more details about regulatory until I did my own research. And one of the things I wanted to do besides pharmacy school is actually go to law school. But I went to pharmacy school because my mom really wanted me to be a pharmacist. So that happened. And then once I learned about regulatory affairs and learned more about it, I saw like the interdisciplinary actions that they can do with like the legal side, with the FDA and other regulatory bodies. And I thought that that mixed well with like my personal interests. So that's why I decided to pursue this career.
Okay, excellent. Wow. And then Katie, we'll come back to you. And really, in the post-COVID era, what skills or qualities do you believe are essential for new professionals entering the field? You've been in your career now for a few years, so maybe rewind a little bit and think back, what advice would you give to younger professionals?
Yeah, so, and my old mentor is sitting in this room. I can actually see her right now. And I don't know if she remembers telling me this, but when I first started, I was very nervous. And she told me, regulatory has a 2-year learning curve. You're not going to feel comfortable, and you're not going to feel that you know things until you're a couple years in. You have to build those experiences. So I think what I'd want people to know is that you need to be a lifelong learner. You need to be willing to commit to that continuing ed, which obviously we all are. We're here at RAPS continuing that education. But continuing education and communication, those are the big things.
Yeah. Nice. How does that make you feel, Tyler? Hearing 2 more years?
I think 2 years isn't too bad. I'm actually in the process of applying for fellowships, and a lot of them are 2-year commitments as well.
Yeah.
So, like your mentor said, 2-year learning curve.
Excellent. Harshit, is that?
I'm done with education now.
Yeah, you're ready to go. Okay.
I want to go into that.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, let's stay with you, Harshit. And as you're preparing to enter the workforce, what expectations or hopes do you have for the organizational culture, and particularly around work flexibility, mentorship, and career development?
I think when we think about work environment, especially if you are in a early career like us, young professionals are always, having the enthusiasm for doing a different work setup as well, work in different kind of cultures. And having that, supporting team that we are looking for, and for finding the right mentor, the people that helps you go ahead into the career as well. And having that support back that, if I don't know something, that I can ask somebody in my team, that I will always feel confident that if I don't know, this person will definitely help me out with that. So having that kind of, team members in the team with different kind of organization, that helps a lot. That kind of expectation anybody have, like you might have as well. And second thing is flexibility in a work-life balance is really important as well, because it's good for our well-being as well. So we can give a 100% into what we do. Third thing is always have you can say continuous growth that we are looking for. As early career professionals. I think that's kind of, the few points that I wanted to mention that.
Nice. Tyler, I'll come back to you, as you're preparing to start interviewing, do you have any, again, expectations or hopes for what a company might look like for you?
Yeah, I think Harshit really hit all the key points that I'm looking for as well. I definitely want an environment where it's in person or at least hybrid. I think that way I'd be able to seek out opportunities to grow at a faster rate with the in-person environment. And definitely having like a management team that's there to support my growth in regulatory, and just understanding that I'm new to this field and I'm really looking to climb the ladder in a sense,
Yeah, no, that's great. And Katie, now that you have a couple years experience, or more than a couple, what are your expectations for maybe if you were to, not that you're going to go anywhere, very happy where you are, but if you were to interview or look for something new, like what are the key things you look for with a new organization?
Yeah, and back to what Harshit and Tyler have said, I think they've hit on some really great points. One for me that's big, especially as I'm moving up in my career, is development opportunities. I want to be able to keep learning, growing, challenging myself. So having still the mentors, the peers, right? Because you can never stop having mentors. Yeah. We have a great mentorship program right now at my company that I love. So mentorship, development opportunities, and great peers. I mean, I can see directly in front of me. I've got a table of my peers that are here to support me. So that's Excellent. What I look for. And
then, so we've talked a little bit about, what your hopes are for getting things from the organization, but let's flip it now in terms of what you think your generation has to contribute back. So Tyler, how do you see your generation contributing to the future of regulatory, and particularly in terms of innovation, ethics, and adapting to the post-pandemic changes?
That's a really good question. I guess to start off with the post-pandemic changes, I think with my generation, a good chunk of our academic career was on the hybrid or online mode. So I think there's not too much of a difference for that aspect for my generation. And with innovation, we're really open to change, looking for more efficient work processes, and really flexible from what I've seen with my peers at school. And in regards to ethics, I think with my generation, we're really bold. So we're not afraid to say no whenever we think something's not within ethical guidelines, you'd say.
Yeah.
So I've had opportunities where, not opportunities, experiences where I've had management tell me to do something in the hospital setting where I felt like wasn't a safe thing for me to do as just a pharmacy intern. And I told them no, and they still try to push me to do it, but I just stood my ground and went up to my direct manager and talked to her about that process.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great. Harshit, anything you'd like to add on maybe the contributions you hope to make in terms of innovation and ethics?
Definitely, and especially if we talk about new generation like us, they are all like tech savvy. They are more into learning about AI stuff and getting more practical experience on that. So there definitely bridge the gap between them. I know that still developments needed into the AI space because we are not trusting 100% on that. But definitely, that should be looking for that.
Yeah. Katie?
Echoing what they've said, but also, I apologize, I don't want to paraphrase someone, but someone said in one of the sessions that, as we go into this future with AI, that human touch is still important, and we can't lose that human touch. So I think it's going to be very interesting as we enter this space with AI and everything, but making sure that we maintain those ethics and maintain that human touch, because people care about people.
Yeah. That's, very good point. I was hoping we could maybe make it through at least one session without talking about AI, but I might have to push a little bit more on that. And in particular, Tyler, you mentioned being tech savvy. You mentioned AI, Katie. How do you view the role of new technologies like AI in shaping your future regulatory roles? Is there any concern that AI is going to replace me, or is it more about AI is just a tool we have at our disposal? Talk a little bit about that, and maybe also what type of training or support you expect from employers to do these types of use these types of tools. Maybe Harshit, can we start with you on that?
Yeah, to learn about AI, I would say still training related to AI, new tools and softwares that company use, the cutting edge technology that needed to learn to early career professionals. And NLP for literature review and dynamic setup to take a competitive advantage on that kind of things that new generation always wants to experience that can help any employers in this room as well and in any kind of that. So that kind of things that early career professionals wants to, and they are having a sense of urgency, so they always wants to know more on that. So that kind of thing can be advantage for others as well.
Yeah. Tyler, any thoughts on how these new technologies might shape your role?
I think with the new technologies, I've seen it being integrated in the hospital setting. I know in some of our operating rooms we have AI assistants. It's like a Siri system. I forget the name of it, but we just go, hey Siri, enter an order for this medication, weight-based dosing or renal dosing. And it's still in the project mode. We only have it in like 2 of our ORs, and it'll automatically submit the order under that provider's that's linked to that OR. And I think it's really efficient. So in the regulatory aspect, I think AI can really help enhance the workflow and alleviate some of the stress of like the research aspect for regulatory professionals.
Yeah. Katie, how about for you?
Yeah, back to the efficiency thing, right? I think that it can help us to be a little bit more efficient, but like I said before, people care about people, so we can't lose that. In terms of training, I think we all would just need to really understand how we are going to apply this. Like, for example, at my company, would it be in a medical device? Then how are we telling that story to the reviewers, to the regulators? Or is it in how we review our internal documents? How are we including AI? How are we then training to that? But again, not losing that people touch.
Yeah, no, really important. Let's see. In terms of, we'll switch gears just a little bit and talk about the aspects of your academic training. Which which aspects of your training, I guess we'll go for each of you, but which aspects of your training do you think have really prepared you the best for being in regulatory? And do you see any gaps in that training that your employers might help you bridge? So Katie, we'll start with you since you've been in industry already.
I was like, I'd love to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
But yes, so I, as I said, did not start out wanting to go regulatory. So I started out with a degree in biochemistry, was gung-ho med school and research, and then did my master's in biomedical diagnostics. Had maybe a couple hours on regulations, but not a whole lot. So for me, the most important thing was getting that on-the-job experience. I think that that is just absolutely crucial because you're not gonna, in theory, you can understand how to do a 510K submission, or you can understand how to do an international submission, but until you actually put pen to paper, you're not gonna know exactly what's needed. So I think just getting that experience, getting internships, getting, even if it's just watching someone, but getting on-the-job training is very important.
Yeah, and did your employer support your achievement of the RAC and the RCC certification?
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a wonderful manager, and he strongly supported it, helped me to get the tools that I could to study, and then we also have many study groups within our company that is helping to push each other to continuing learning and get that RAC certification because it's so helpful.
Yeah, excellent. And Harshit, how about for you, your training, which aspect of it do you think prepared you the best? Was it the regulatory classes or maybe something else?
I think regarding regulatory education, so we are filled with that, and the only thing we always feel a gap between that is the regulatory operations and the practical applications of submissions and stuff.
Yeah.
So that we always, needed to learn on that, doing mock submissions. And one of the sessions we spoke about that, how universities and employers can collaborate on that. So they can, students can all be prepared on that, and when they go into the industry, they don't need to start from scratch.
Yeah.
And already they had experience on that. And I think so many of companies here as well, they started leadership programs that always helps early career professionals to get that, bridge the gap between that, and so they get much more experience in that.
Yeah, very good. And Tyler, I know you've had one class in regulatory, but were there maybe any of the other classes that you feel are like a solid foundation?
Yeah, I think as a pharmacy student, they really emphasize reading clinical trials. So having that aspect of understanding the statistics behind everything, how to understand safety endpoints, efficacy, all of that jazz, kind of ties into like regulatory strategy. One of my mentors told me to work in regulatory strategy, you yourself have to be multidisciplinary to work with a multidisciplinary team. And that really stuck with me. She told me that she works with a lot of statisticians, toxicologists, other PhD people in the clinical and research side. And just gathering all that data and compiling it into like a submission takes a lot of, I guess, different hats you have to wear just to get something sent to the market, or at least try to. And yeah.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. All right, we're finally at our closing question, so I'm going to ask each of you this question. And in a minute or less, if you can, if you wanted to leave a lasting message with this group, what would you tell this room of regulatory professionals, what you want them to know about your generation, and what's important to you when it comes to having a great workplace and a job you love coming to every day? Katie?
So again, I mentioned it earlier, but I think something that's really important to me is knowing that I have a team around me that's going to support me. Looking right at you guys, thank you so much. So having that team that's going to support you, that there are no dumb questions, right? You know that I can go to Stephanie and I can say, hey, Steph, you've worked on this. What is your experience? This is what I'm thinking. This is what I'd like to do. And just having that team to rally around you.
Nice. Harshit?
I think the thing we'd like to mention is like purpose-driven work that the young generation is always enthusiastic about. And the second thing is how the employers are having the team culture as well that early career professionals are looking for. And they are always, in the speed to get into that as soon as possible. And they really want to provide into that team and ask a lot of questions as well because they are confused about the regulations and how global harmonization is happening. Is there any still gaps between them or not? So I think new generation is quite, having that kind of, you can say, have a lot of questions and still wants to in a learning phase, and that can be beneficial for anybody.
Excellent. Nice. Hey, Tyler, you get the last word.
Okay. I think for my generation, we are really bold, really eager to learn, and we just really want a workplace where we feel supported and heard. Opportunities to grow is definitely important, and excuse my Gen Z slang, but we're always looking for that vibe in the office space where we can just be ourselves.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here. Can we please give them a round of applause? Thank you so much. Yeah. And as I bring out Jethro and Gert, who will be closing out our session today, please join me again in thanking the panel and letting them know that our future looks very bright with them as the next leaders in regulatory affairs. All right. Nice. Good job.